Hello, my friends. This is Heather. This is the Back to Me podcast. This is episode number 92. And I'm talking with Money Marci today. And we're talking about financial literacy and setting yourself up so that you don't have to be worrying about your financial wellness and you can get on with your super awesome life. Let me know what you think. Take care, my friends. Have a great day. Hi, my friends. Welcome. This is the Back to Me podcast, and this is Heather, and I am super excited that you're here. You are going to hear some tips and some tricks and some ideas to help you live your happiest and healthiest self. I call it Back to Me because when you are taking care of yourself, back to me, then you can take better care of others, and we can all make the world a better place. This is Wellness Your Way, and I am super happy that you're here. Hello, my friend. This is Heather. This is the Back to Me podcast. This is another fabulous celebrity episode, which means I get to talk to an amazing human being about something super cool and exciting. And you might not think financial literacy is super cool and exciting, but I'm a former CPA. I still think it's super cool and exciting. And when you figure it out, then you don't stress about it, right? So today's guest is Money Marci. And yes, I was trying to decide. Yeah, I like Money Marci. Marci, welcome.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
I know I can't be serious, even though it's money. People get very serious about money, but it doesn't have to be a scary thing, right?
It does not have to be scary at all. It just, I think we're afraid of things we don't understand, and we get too intimidated to do the research and do the learning to get comfortable. And once you get comfortable, you can start making very empowering decisions with your money because you're the one in control.
Right. So this is Money Marci. And so first thing I want to ask you is, how the heck did you become Money Marci?
Well, I am a continuing CPA. I've been a CPA for over 30 years.
Recovering CPA.
and in that time, I found that one of the things that I really liked, and I think one of the things I did best, was helping people to understand their money and how they could make decisions that impacted their situation. It's interesting to me still that no matter how much money someone has or how little or how old they are or how young they are or how educated they are or uneducated, book learning stuff, there's still things they just don't understand that as financial professionals, we're like, well, of course, but these are things we have hands-on experience, our own and other people's, that the normal non-CPA, non-financial person may not have had exposure to. And it feels so good to have someone's light bulb go off while you're talking to them about the things they could do better with their money or explaining something. And they're like, I never knew that. And it's like, well, now you do.
Now you can't unknow it. And it's true. I was reading, I'm sure, have you heard of Jen Sincero? I shouldn't assume you know who Jen Sincero is.
Yeah.
So I think it was, I can't remember which of her books where she says at the beginning, there's money and sex are taboo, but you're supposed to know how to manage them properly, how to be good at it, but you're not allowed to talk about it. So my friends, we're not going to talk sex today, but we will talk money. Oh my gosh. Can you imagine? I might have to be one of those like explicit episodes.
I would not be your guest for that one.
So how did you, so you're a CPA, but you're not in public practice anymore, I'm assuming. I mean, I don't know. I shouldn't assume.
I have a small clientele base that I continue to serve. And I sometimes work with other CPA firms if they need an extra set of hands for a bigger project, but otherwise I'm not actively pursuing the CPA side of things. I've decided that what I really want to be is a financial literacy educator and help people get over this hump, this fear, this lack of knowledge, and help them to better understand their money. We keep hearing in this country, well, people don't understand their money, and there's a financial literacy issue, and there's this and that, and I want to be part of that solution.
And and maybe there's not one thing, but what do you think is the most common thing that you see when you're trying to help people?
Well, almost everything comes back to budgeting, to seeing what you take in and what you're spending, and seeing whether you're in a profit or a deficit situation, and understanding where you can make decisions to control that. I think if you don't understand that, it's hard to move forward on anything else. It's hard to save for retirement. It's hard to know how much you need for retirement. It might be hard to go for that house or that car, whatever your future may or may not hold for you. Money is a significant resource that controls what we can do in life. And if you don't understand it, it puts you at a significant disadvantage for any goals you might want to achieve.
And you could end up in a not so great situation.
Absolutely.
So we were talking about your book. So is your book basically stories to help people understand? Is that my understanding of the book?
So I collected stories from friends, family, people who knew people, anyone on the internet that would send me their story. And I use that to explain various topics. So my book has chapters that don't have stories, and it has chapters that might have 2 stories that just kind of help people understand, because I think people understand things better than if I give them in stories than if I were to just give them basic facts. And it makes them feel not alone. This is someone else's story. I haven't changed the wording, except where necessary to clarify.
Right.
And they can see this. I think they can see that I didn't write it, that I didn't create this story. These are real stories from real people of challenges and victories they've had with money things.
And it's true. Humans are storytellers, right? I can remember you can tell someone they need to do a budget and they just look at you like you said something in a foreign language because it's like, what do I need spreadsheets? Do I have to get new skills? No, you can do it on a napkin, for gosh sakes. But if you can tell them in a story what it looks like, it's so much easier to relate to. So what was your favorite story in your book? Do you have one?
I think so many of them were favorites. Obviously, I like the ones best that resolved by the end of it, that they had a positive resolution and they were like, okay, I was able to go from here to there, because I asked for this kind of help, or because a friend helped me understand, or just whatever it was. I read a book and it helped me get there. I didn't like the ones where I shouldn't say I didn't like. Obviously, they had good lessons and they were learning, but obviously there were stories that were less positive in their resolution.
We're very used to the Hollywood endings where everything turns out at the end of the day.
Right. And it's always sad when it doesn't. My hope is that by reading my book and reading these stories and hearing about the things I say behind the stories, that maybe it'll help other people have more positive resolutions to their challenges.
What kind of things do you encompass in your financial literacy? Because I mean, it's hard as having the background that I do. Sometimes you forget what people don't know. So what kinds of things are you covering do you think are most helpful for people?
Well, my first chapter, and it may be my longest chapter, is about budgeting.
Right.
So it explains how it works and what you're doing. And as well, on my website, I have available for people to download or open up, because I believe it's a Google Doc, spreadsheet for budgeting that's already kind of basically prepared. And I've thrown numbers in there, and I have one for forecasting, and people can just download those and work from them. And of course, if you put budgeting in your search bar, you can come up with a dozen worksheets, more than a dozen worksheets for budgeting, so you can find what you want. I discussed the difference between saving and investing, and debit cards and credit scores and credit reports, different types of health insurance options you might have available at work, a little bit about tax returns and explaining how you can use them to kind of see what you're doing. I hit a wide range of topics. It was kind of a stream of consciousness. What do I want to tell my kids? What do I want my kids to know?
Oh, that's cool.
I have two sons that are young adults, and I wrote the book as if I was talking to them and their friends. What are the things I think they should know? How would they be most likely to listen to me or read this book? And I went with that, and I just, okay, you know what? This is something else I want them to understand. And this is, so it's kind of interesting the way my chapters jump from one topic to another, and yet it was very organic. And so I left it that way rather than rearranging the topics into, oh, well, they should know this, and then they should. So yeah, I'm really happy.
They don't necessarily follow sequentially, right? That kind of things. I mean,
they are not. You can, I tell people you can put the book in your bathroom and read a chapter at a time, you know, or you put it by your desk and you say, I have a question about X, and look in the table of contents and say, okay, this is the chapter I want to read. So you don't have to read it in order. You don't have to
choose your own adventure.
To be structured. It's a choose your own adventure. I love those books.
Choose your own financial adventure. And do you find the people who, and I don't know if you know who's reading it, do you find that there's people who are in difficulty or just want some understanding?
A little bit of each. I have had some people reach out to me after reading it, and some were, you know, this was just what I needed, and others were, wow, that's good to understand that. And I got that from younger people and from older people my age who were like, you know, I always did it, and it turns out I did it right, but I never understood why I did it, and now I know what I'm doing.
Right? Yeah. I like the choose your own adventure idea of financial. It's making me pretty excited and interesting. So you just tweaked my mind. So you had a chapter on saving versus investing, and I bet you most people don't know what the difference is.
Probably not. You think of them both in the same way, and they have very different purposes, and it's important to understand the purposes.
Do you want to give anybody a hint?
Oh, I don't know. Well, in the shortest, yeah, or request it at your library. I mean, if
right,
you know, I'm everywhere. I'm trying to really make it accessible.
But do you tell people on your TikTok?
I have told them on my TikTok, request it at your library, buy the book, follow me, you know, on TikTok, read my blog. But what was I going to say? Oh, yeah. So savings versus investing, in as succinct as I can make it, saving is for shorter term goals and investing is for longer term goals.
And do them both, friends.
Absolutely. They both serve important purposes.
Right. Yeah. And this is a little bit, well, same topic, but it just happens because I heard about him recently, and I don't know why I'd never heard of him before. I'm sure you know who Dave Ramsey is.
Of course.
And do you have an opinion about his approach to life, financial life? It's okay. You can say it. I won't tell you.
Okay, everybody close your ears. No, actually, I think that everybody learns differently and everybody understands things differently. And that's why he and I both serve purposes, even though we're basically doing the same thing and we have different opinions and different way of presenting things. There are some people that are going to hear me and understand me. And there are some people that are going to hear him and understand him. And the goal is for both of us that we are going to help people move forward and do better with their money. So,
right.
you know.
That's very diplomatic. But
It's
it's very true. I mean, part of my intention when I bring lots and lots of people to talk to on the podcast is I we're all trying to help you be successful, and my way of doing things won't work for some people, right? And I've been listening to his audiobook, and he doesn't resonate with me. So is yours in an audiobook format? Maybe you should do an audiobook too.
I am in the process of working on the audiobook,
Look at you go.
and I'm very excited about it. And I hope it'll be ready before the end of the year, but I don't know. And I'm very
So
excited about it.
so when you're so and when you're helping people understand their financials, so you've got your book, you've got your TikTok, you're all over the interwebs. Um, do you do courses and programs? Do you have workshops? How do you work usually?
Well, at this point in time, I'm not doing courses and workshops, and I'm not coaching. I do speaking engagements, and I do book clubs. If a book club wanted to read my book, I would be happy to come and be their speaker. Obviously, paid for, or just like speaking to groups, but and then be very available to them during that time period, and of course, reach out to me ahead or afterwards. But
And I think you also mentioned earlier that you wanted more stories. Is there another book in the works
there is another book in the works,
with different
and
topics?
some of it will be different topics. Some of it will be topics explored a little bit differently or going a little more in depth than I felt I wanted to do in the first book. My first book, a lot of the topics and a lot of the people I'm hoping are being reached by it are people who have done nothing. They might be 15 to 25 years old, and they're just entering into or getting ready to enter into managing their own finances. So I didn't want to give them more information and have them be so overwhelmed that they weren't able to retain any of it. So
Right.
I read a couple of financial literacy books before I wrote mine, or tried to read some of them, and found them talking at such a level that even with what I know, I was like, I don't know who you're trying to talk to, because I found it so complex, and it was this big, thick book and so overwhelming. And I just didn't feel it was how I wanted to reach my audience.
Right. So the audience, but you also mentioned that you've had, older people reach out. So I guess anybody could read it and get something out of it.
That's my hope.
Yeah. If someone was going to read, I feel like the most valuable chapter is the budgeting chapter. What do you think? Of course, I haven't read it yet. I'm just, I know. Gosh, she hasn't read it yet. Bad host.
But because so much, I think budgeting is hugely important because it's a starting point for so many other decisions you're going to make. How can you pay for retirement if you don't know if you're living within your means now? How can you know what you need for retirement? How can you decide what health insurance or what house you can afford or whatever? So I think everything has to start with understanding how much you're earning and how much you're spending and seeing what you have left over. So I do think it's a hugely important place to start. And as I said, it's one of my longest chapters, and it is my first full chapter in the book. So it is a starting point.
Have you read Profits First?
I have not.
Okay. I only asked that because you made me think of this as like part of, might be a long story, but he turns for us accountant types, he turns the financial statement upside down. And he said he's all about, you take the profit out and then you figure out where the expenses go. because in his opinion, you will spend whatever's in your bank account.
Well, that's
And
like people saying you pay yourself first.
yes, yeah. So he's just called it profits first because he's trying to teach business people to not spend every penny of their income. And there is a pay yourself first aspect to it. But in budgeting, and I'm thinking on multiple thoughts at one time, you can tell by the fact that I can't grab onto one of them. When you're doing your budgeting, you do have to decide um, a where to spend it or not spend it. So budgeting isn't all spending. Somewhere times it's the not spending, right?
Right. Well, but seeing what you're taking in and when you really start looking at what you're spending, it gives you an opportunity. I just did a TikTok recently on the onlys because I think
Oh, what's that?
the onlys are a budget killer and they're nasty because they sneak in. The onlys are it's only $1, it's only $5, it's only $10, and you don't think about them when you spend them. You know, if you're spending $100, $1,000, you're going to pause and think about it. But hey, it's only $5 for that coffee. It's only, whatever. And when you're looking at your budget and you're really putting everything on the lines and looking at where you're really spending all your money, those only pop out and they wave at you. And you say, what's going on? Or that gym membership. And you're like, I have a gym membership. Who knew?
Oh, no. Hopefully,
Well, but I mean, you look at those things, and when I signed up in January, it seemed like a great idea, and or I signed up to one of those streaming channels because there was a show or movie I really wanted to watch, and I forgot to end that subscription service, and I'm still paying for it. And budgeting finds these hidden expenses that you may not even realize you're spending. It's if you don't do a full reconciliation on your bank account, if it's an automatic withdrawal, or on your credit card, if you don't do a full reconciliation and look at every line, you might be surprised.
Go?
Yeah,
that should have been the name. Where did the money go?
That's a great name. I'm going to write that down and use it for a chapter.
Make it a TikTok. Where did the money go? It went with the onlys. So interesting. Yes, I think because in the time before, I collected stars. It's interesting the strategies that businesses, I'm talking about Starbucks, by the way, the strategies businesses have to get your money and keep your money. So Starbucks has an app. Lots of companies have an app, but this was the one that I fell prey to. Has an app where you just walk in and you just plink with your phone. There's no money exchanging hands, but you've forgotten that you gave them your money already and they've been sitting on it. So it feels like you're not spending any money when you just go up and say, oh, just scan my app. There's my stars. Yay, stars. Yay. And it's Starbucks is, well, my favorite drinks at Starbucks are, $7. It's not even an only. It's a what the heck?
On the flip side, they've got, I don't know if Starbucks does, but other coffee places do, where you pay a monthly fee and you can get coffee or whatever every few hours. You go in and you get another free coffee.
That's not good for you. Let's talk about keeping your gut healthy at this.
Well, I think they also have other drinks that are part of that. But I mean, so for $10 or $15 a month, you get your coffee every morning if it's among the free ones or whatever, depending on, I mean, if you're getting $7 coffee, it might not be on that free list.
Oh, no.
But I drink my coffee black, so it's on everybody's free list. But you have one of those, and those might be worthwhile investing in. But yeah, if you're going in, whether you're putting it on a gift card that, you paid for beforehand, or that's a gift someone gave you that they might have given you something else that might have been more useful.
So they're all to keep you coming in and
right.
keep you coming in to see them. Right. And I mean, Starbucks did find that way to keep your money. Oh, we'll just put $20 on the Starbucks card, and yeah, then I won't have to worry about it, and I'll get stars. The interesting thing about the we don't have, as far as I know, because I don't actually drink coffee. I drink all the other fancy things. Um, the companies that have the monthly coffee membership model, I don't know that we have any. They're hoping that you'll buy something else while you're in there. It's like, I get my
Right.
free coffee, so it's only $2 for a donut because you haven't added those guys together. What is
Yeah,
that?
I'm
Penny wise, pound.
wise, pound foolish.
There it is.
But we're there's all these sayings about money, and you have to think about it because sometimes they don't make sense when you put them together. First, you don't want to throw good money after bad, but at what point in time is it giving up too early on something? And at what point in time is it throwing good money after bad? And you have to make that judgment call. And where does that come into it? And
You should do a whole
it's
book on
hard.
old money sayings.
Now there's a good idea. I'm gonna write that down. I'm gonna walk away with 5 more books because of this conversation.
Or even a series of TikToks if it doesn't become a whole book. It's like this week's I can't believe you're on TikTok. That's hilarious.
You haven't seen my videos. I've done 2 of them so far from my roof.
Really? So I've strictly restricted my social media times because it takes too much
It's very
time.
easy. It's very easy to fall down that rabbit hole. But
Yeah.
if you're not on TikTok, I post the same videos to Twitter and Instagram and my Facebook group.
So you can go to any of them to watch.
You can go to
And
any
you
of
won't be
them to find me
sucked
there.
down the TikTok black hole.
Can't guarantee that because everybody's got their own black holes. That's how they get their money. That's their model is how long they can keep your eyes on them.
So your first book was for your younger type, just coming into money people. What is your next book is for your midlifers?
Well, it's for those
Have
who would like to
jobs?
know more. I would say, I mean, I'm still going to write it in the same manner, the same. I write my books like I talk, with a few less ums, and
It's part of talking.
it'll be in that same conversational tone. As I said, it'll go into some newer topics that I haven't discussed yet. So some of the younger people may be interested in learning some of the other topics that I'll be hitting, and it'll go in depth on some of the ones that I've already covered. And some of the things will just be, wow, these are some more stories that I have that's on a topic that I already covered, but these are really good stories. And let's discuss it again because maybe this is the story that will help someone understand, and the other story wasn't quite what connected with them.
And because I've listened to some audiobooks that I've listened to multiple times, and I know that you don't always hear everything or get everything the first time. Not necessarily just listening, but hearing things again in a different way helps you see something you didn't see before, or you're in a new place as well. When you listen to it, you're like, oh, did they say that last time? I don't remember them saying that last time. And maybe you just weren't ready to hear it. Do you know what I mean?
Sure. Or if you're listening when you're driving, sometimes that's when your attention is a little more on the road, which is a good thing. Your attention should be on the road when you're driving.
Don't drive on autopilot, or you'll have to do a budget on getting car repairs. And your insurance will go up.
True enough.
So if you were going to give somebody a piece of advice,
read my book. Then you can get lots of pieces of advice. Don't be afraid to learn and ask questions. There are so many resources out there. As I said, if mine isn't the one that resonates, someone else does. Don't be afraid to learn the information to manage your money. It's one of your few assets that you have a significant amount of control over. The better you understand it, the better it can work for you.
And it's I would like to create a world where it's not taboo for people to talk about money.
I would
Because
agree.
it's just a medium of exchange. It doesn't define how good you are. It doesn't define what kind of person you are. People attach a lot of meanings to it, which they're just stories that you tell yourself about what money means. Really, money is just, I have this. If I give you this, will you give me that? So it's just a means of exchange. There was a program I was listening to once where he called it the coin of the realm. He said, let's not call it money. Let's call it the coin of the realm. You need it for food and shelter and clothing and vacations and cars. And, it's just what we've created. So we don't have to carry chickens around all the time.
Well, right. And I've got chickens and I want shoes, but you don't want the chickens in exchange for your shoes. So we've got to go through 5 people to make the trades to make it get there. And money allows it to be much easier to have that exchange.
So much easier. And it's okay to talk about it. And I love the fact that you say, like, ask the questions. There's no stupid questions, even though you feel like, and I like the analogy that we're all supposed to know exactly how it all works and no, but not talk about it. So it's like, well, of course we're going to talk about it. And of course it's okay to ask questions because you don't know what you don't know. And how do you learn if you don't ask? And there's just puzzles to figure out, really. I think that most accountants have brains that like puzzles. What do you think?
I would agree. But I mean, most people, you didn't just wake up and know how to drive a car. So why would you just, or walk? And why would you just wake up and know how to balance a checkbook or know how to read a tax return, let alone prepare a tax return?
By the way, US tax returns are super complicated compared to Canadian. I'm just going to put it right up there. Canadian tax returns, dead easy compared to US.
Well, and then if you look at all the various states, you've got some states with no tax returns, some states with easy tax returns, and some states with very complex tax returns. And just to make it more fun, every year they change some of the rules and almost all of the forms. And you have to start over again because line 4 is now line 7, and line 7 doesn't exist because that got moved to a different form. And it's part of the fun.
And there's a reason people, like you say IRS or CRA in Canada, and people just instantly, turn white in fear. But they're just people. They're just doing their jobs, and they're not actually trying to get you.
The only time the IRS is trying to get you is when it's a scammer pretending to be the IRS.
Right.
Otherwise, it's just people trying to do their job, trying to get you to pay the correct amount of tax.
And we may not like
it shouldn't be scary, but I mean, taxes are what makes it that we have a police department and that we have roads and that we have, a fire department and all of these other community resources. It's
they're not
for
evil.
our state of being. They're not evil. It's what gets us from here to there.
Right. So part of educating yourself is not being freaked out about taxes. You don't have to know how to do them. Like wherever you live, you don't have to know how to do them, but ask the questions and get with someone who can help you understand them and the what's and the whys and the hows of them, and who'll do them for you. Right.
Well, that's why there are professionals. You wouldn't remove your own appendix.
Lord,
maybe you shouldn't be doing your own tax return.
Right. That's awesome. Yeah, I'm going to do my own brain surgery right now. Yeah. So they can find you on, what are all the places? It's in the show notes, but if you want to shout it out.
Well, I am at MoneyMarci.com.
Money Marci.
And MoneyMarci.com, or you could reach me, via email at marci@moneymarci.com. And I am on TikTok and Instagram and Twitter and LinkedIn. There's a Facebook group. For those of you who are seeing this on video, she's got my icon at the top, and that's how you know you're in the right place, because it's got the little brain and Money Marci written on the face.
It's a brain full of dollar signs.
Well, yeah, you have to learn about stuff, to think about stuff, to know about stuff.
Oh, that's cool. That's fabulous. Thank you for that. It's like, I'm thinking like that's where it should end. Like, that's a fabulous final statement. Say it again. Say it again.
I don't know if I can.
You have to learn about stuff, think about stuff.
You have to think about stuff, to learn about stuff, to know about stuff.
Dun, dun.
We got to work on a theme song.
That's our mic drop. That's our mic drop. Beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing all of this. And I know that this stuff freaks people out, and I don't want people to be freaked out about their financial health, because being healthy financially means that you can be calm about that and go out and live your happy, awesome life, right? So thank you so much for sharing all of that with me. My friends out in podcast land, check out the Facebook group. I'm going to go check out the TikToks. I'm just going to do it. And have a fabulous day. Remember to comment, like, and subscribe. Always, always, always. And I will see you again next time. Take care. Hi, my friend. Thanks so much for listening to this entire podcast. If you found it useful and you're like me and you like helping others, please feel free to share this. Just give it a like, give it a comment. If you found something useful in it, there's a chance that someone else will find something useful as well. Also, if you have any questions at all, I can absolutely help, and I would love to help. You can email me at heather@prosperityflowcoaching.com. If you want more of this awesome content, you can follow me on Instagram, Heather Stewart Coaching. You can follow me on Facebook, Prosperity Flow Coaching. And I have a personal request. I want to help as many people as I can with these podcasts. And if you could give me a review, hopefully a good one, if you could share, if you could send this out into the world, I would truly appreciate it. I hope you have an amazing day, and I hope that you find your way to wellness by getting back to me. Take care, my friend.